mask on, smiling but my heart singing sad songs. Yeah, I was living for myself, I was dead wrong till I got the call, no cell phone. I got tired of walking around with a mask on, smiling but my heart singing sad songs. Yeah, I was living for myself, I was dead wrong till I got the call, no cell phone. Man, you talking to the real me, yeah. Man, you talking to the real me, yeah. Man, you talking to the real me, yeah. Made in this image, I'm a young man. You talking to the real me, yeah. Man, you talking to the real me, yeah. Man, you talking to the real me, yeah. Made in this image, I'm a young OG boy.
Look, yeah, try and go further, try and go farther than ever without a burner. Feeling like I never quit moving, I am a learner. And learn that the higher you get, they wanna earn you. But I gotta keep moving, I know what the mission is. Eye on the prize, man, I know what the vision is. Train for the fight, man, I'm doing conditioning. If I fall down, man, I'm going to get it there, you know it. Man, I hang out with thugs, throwing some poets. Told me take it high, don't hang around with the lowest. Shoot for the sky, you aim high and you blow it. Never take no for an answer, keep going, just breathe. Just breathe. Breathe. Woo! Let's take this thing higher. Higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places that never been. We go higher. Non-stop. Take it to the top even when the ball drops. My man, we go higher. It's time to go higher. Let's take this thing higher. Higher than you ever been. Non-stop, stand tall like Everest. My man, we go. It's time to go. Let's take this thing. Woo! Let's take this thing higher. Non-stop, it's time to go. We going higher than this. My man, we keep running, ain't no calling it quits. Look at the time and the risk, ain't no time to coexist. I want more than what they offer, I'm pulling my fist. Out on my own, I do my own thing. Woo! Taking it higher than soul flame. Woo! Words of the wise, never be okay. With mediocrity, do better than no days. Breathe. Breathe. Just breathe. Woo! Let's take this thing higher. Higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places that never been. We go higher. No stop. Take it to the top even when the ball drops. My man, we go higher. It's time to go. Let's take this thing. Take it to the top. Oh yeah. Higher than you ever been. No stop. Stand tall like Everest. My man, we go. It's time to go. Let's take this thing. Woo! Let's take this thing. No stop. It's time to go. Breathe. Woo! Let's take this thing higher. Higher than you ever been. Stand tall like Everest. I mean higher. You ain't gotta settle in. Go places that never been. We go higher. Take it to the top even when the ball drops. My man, we go higher. It's time to go higher. Let's take this thing. My man, we go. It's time to go. Let's take this thing higher. Woo! Let's take this thing. No stop. It's time to go.
Left from the hood and you can't go back. Trained in the ways of the ancient facts. Blazing the place with the trees all stacked. Making the waves push people back. Push people back. Late to the stage they come. Papers to blaze the punk. Police on the beat race we run. High rise on an equal chunk. I'm above, you're below us all. No love in the doja fools. Utilize my golden tool. No repentance is overdue. If you're in the block or the whip then raise up a hand or a lighter. Murderous phrases, I'm hyper. Making my way through the night just. If you're in the block or a whip just raise up a hand and a lighter. Murderous phrases, I'm hyper. Making my way through the night just. Left from the hood and you can't go back. Trained in the ways of that ancient fact. Blazing the pace with the trees all stacked. Making the waves push people back. People back. Hit the party, stance is yoga. Truly twisted, far from sober. Overdoser, rum and coca. Going loca, showing no love. Drop with the party's wave. Solo dude, I don't move for brains. Got your wifey in a state. Pulled up looking like I made a paint, so it's crazy late. Kick it with the vampire, slang higher, roll with the witty finesse like Super T. Dude said he's the best, well it's news to me. Super mean, ride on the rhythm, I cruise the beat. She starts off when I don't usually, but I name it. If you're in the block or the whip then raise up a hand or a lighter. Murderous phrases, I'm hyper. Making my way through the night just. If you're in the block or a whip just raise up a hand and a lighter. Murderous phrases, I'm hyper. Making my way through the night just.
Alive, let's hit the dance floor. Don't work too hard, might break a backbone. Return of the Mac, the king is back though. Corvette and cash, I never lack those. She saw the stone, you know how that go. Fatality, my diamonds that cold. Versace trunks, I hit my backstroke. Knock on the door, she at the back, bro. All I really take is a little taste. Island girl, blue eyes with a little bass. Here for the thrill, I don't need a chaser. Wanna vibe at the getaway. Shimmy, shimmy, yeah, I got the semi-four way. Don't step out the line like this a probate. You hit the line and try to locate. This for the time, got time for no day. Whoa. Too many, I'm going. Too crazy and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's in the whip, we left that. Can't remember anything, but I know we got lit. Good times. Live in the moment, feel like summertime. Obsessive nation, not a world mine. The room is spinning, but I feel fine. Oh my. Chandelier, limousines. Really think I'm seeing things. Read the line in mid-between. Yellow light, I gotta speed up. Get home to a cold shower. Need that pronto. Look like a rave at the condo. Heck of a night in Toronto. She said, boy, you in Morocco. Pearl white mention in the top gold. Fill up my cup with the pop, whoa. High off life in the spot, though. Running out the visa, really talking to a real life Mona Lisa. Jesus pieces hanging off the fleecer. So much going on, it's hard to focus on the features. I got too many, I'm going. Too crazy, and I got bad ones and they ready. A good time, so now it's in the whip, we left that. Can't remember anything, but I know we got lit. Good times. Live in the moment, feel like summertime. Obsessive nation, not a world mine. The room is spinning, but I feel fine. Oh my.
and I struggle abiding. Continue fighting, a tugging and pulling. Remember the times when he showed us some honest. I've been stubborn and hiding, can't forget all about him. As it comes me a calling, but the grace is abounding. Yet the grace is abounding, and I struggled in silence, but I pray but he's silent.
Top like, hello, yeah. I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Hey, all of those dark nights I got then, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like rain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well. A penny for your tough, but seeing no change. Snap for the sun like Diddy, the riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy. I'm in the zone, give me the code. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh. I'm in my element, flow is like water. I'm forced through the fire, I'm feeling like one shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know.
Justo el día que tengo el smartwatch y el smartphone para hacer running, se pone a llover. Menos mal que también me he pillado la consola con las gafas de realidad virtual.
Y si quieres algo más, también. Porque ahora, por ser de mi Movistar, puedes tener hasta 5 dispositivos. Estrenar uno está bien. Estrenar más es mejor.
Pues no despega, ¿no?
No es solo alcanzar podios, es superarse en cada escalón. No es solo hacer puntos, es hacer equipo. No es solo ser el mejor, es dar lo mejor de ti mismo. El deporte nos enseña que seguir adelante no es solo ganar, sino aprender a levantarse. CaixaBank, con el deporte siempre.
In the south of Spain, seeing 300 different athletes descending on the competition to all battle out for that first place and gold medal prize. We've already seen our women's BMX finals happen, and it's now time to hand the course over to our men's BMX finalists. And once again, I'm super stoked to say I'm joined by the lovely Daryl Now. Thank you for joining me again, Daryl.
Mark, it's such a pleasure not only to be here with you, but with also all of our fans around the world who are excited about BMX Freestyle, cheering on our riders. They're going to witness the top 12 finalists today, not only battling it out for their share of 8,000 euros, but also this is a C1 UCI event where the points are going to be going towards the Paris 2024 Olympic Games. This is a huge, very exciting to be here with you and getting a chance to call the shots.
Yeah, our women's final earlier was absolutely incredible. We see the level of riding going through the roof at the moment, and it's only going to get better now with our men's finalists. We've got some of the biggest names known in BMX joining us here in Andalucía, but also some new names out there as well, Daryl.
Yeah, this is very exciting to see. This creates a platform for riders that maybe are making a name for themselves or riders that are maybe a little bit more well-known. So you can see we have Ash Finlay, Francesco Mongilio, we have Elia Bennington, Sebastián Cuellar, we have Christian Falbo, Kevin Fabrig. Then we have in our second heat of riders, Sebastián Cuellar, Jude Jones, Marin Rantes, Shaun Gornall, Dylan Hesse, and James Jones. So those are going to be our 12 riders. They're actually representing 5 different countries. You might have saw a lot of Great Britain represented. That's because there's 5 riders coming from Great Britain. They are going to be out on the course. We're breaking our 12 riders down in reverse ranking from our qualifier yesterday. So whoever finished first, which happens to be James Jones, he is going to have the opportunity of going last. We broke the riders up into 2 separate heats. It doesn't matter if you're in the first heat or second heat. You're going to have 2 opportunities on the course. You're going to have 60 seconds on the clock, and it is going to be best run counts. Now, before we get into that, Mark, we have this beautiful bird's eye view of our course out here. Let's talk a little bit about how massive this course is. And I think you were talking a little bit about this Central Park square meters. Do you have the exact numbers that we're dealing with?
Yeah, 924 square meters. So that tells you that it's absolutely ginormous. And it's not just ginormous in outside dimensions, it's ginormous in height. You know, some of the wall rides and everything are way over head height, maybe double head height. And like we said before, the cameramen are so high up they have to wear harnesses. So that tells you how big this course is. And you can see there, the riders just entering the course, and they're dwarfed by that huge wall ride there.
Yeah, it gives you some real perspective seeing the rider on the flat bottom. That's in between the ramps where it's our stage 4 Central Park, but you can see the height. So on the far end of the course, that's actually a massive wall ride slash sub box. You can see there's a 6-foot tall quarter and an equally tall sub wall ride on top. We're going to witness riders turning around on that feature, maybe going on the face of the ramp, which is the wall, or jumping on top, and that being the sub box. You'll see some trick variations going onto and off of, but all the way then on the other far end of the course, we actually have these, you can see on the far side of your screen, you can see that we have these 2 quarter pipes with these big embankments behind it. Those are also equally as large as that sub box. The difference being a rider can do a trick and land off the quarter into that large wedge, and they don't have to be as precise worrying about landing on that coping, not getting a perfect reentry. The cool thing about that, it gives a lot of opportunity where riders can play with some tricks, and they can focus more on trying to throw a big trick and not worry so much about getting the landing precise. They do want to land smooth and keep their momentum rolling, because then that will get them worked out. But right now we are getting ready to meet our riders. Our first rider you can see right there from Great Britain, that is the 29-year-old Ash Finlay. Ash, always
Ash
a crowd favorite.
Absolutely smashing it for so many years, and it's good to see him out here in Andalucía. Always one of the riders to look out for sure.
Our next rider, 26 years old, doing it for the Italian cycling team. This is Francesco Mongilio. He's been having a great year. He actually moved recently towards Venice, getting a chance to ride a park called H Farm. So that's his local park. He's been putting a lot of time, and he's psyched to be here in the finals. Also with his Italian teammate, the 25-year-old Elia Benetton, who is going to be competing not only against him, but also representing the Italian cycling. Our fourth rider that we are going to be seeing in the finals, 21 years old, coming all the way from Colombia. This is Sebastián Cuellar. Our fifth rider, 24 years old, also representing Italy. Third rider we've seen so far. This is Christian Falvo.
Yeah, 3 Italian riders in that first heat. Everybody's trying to make it up into that top 3. That's the positions that are going on the podium today.
Our sixth rider, originally from France, now living in Montreal, that was Kevin Fabrig. So now these are going to be our riders of heat number 2. Our seventh rider, this is Sebastián Cuellar, the French rider. Really excited to be out here. I had a chance to talk with him before the event. He said this course is awesome and really favors his riding. The second rider we will see of heat number 2 is also representing Great Britain, 21 years old. This is Jude Jones. Our next rider, no stranger to the top of the podium, from Croatia. In 2018, he was the UCI World Champion. This is the 27-year-old Marin Rantes. Our next rider, another one from Great Britain, 28 years old. Originally from Widnes, now living in Chester, this is Shaun Gornall. We are going to keep the Great Britain theme rolling for our next two riders. He was your second place qualifier, 19 years old, Dylan Hesse. And last but certainly not least, he was your number one qualifier, 29 years old, from Swansea, doing it for Great Britain. This is James Jones.
Good to see a Swansea lad getting in there, coming in from Wales. So Great Britain have got quite a heavy standing on this final here, Daryl.
Yeah, as we mentioned, 5 riders from Great Britain. We then have our riders representing France, 2 of them, 3 from Italy, 1 from Colombia, and 1 from Croatia. So as you can see right there, our rules: UCI C1 BMX Park Men's Final. 2 runs, best run is going to count. That means that the leaderboard can get shaken up at any moment because it's your best score. Our judges out here are under the UCI watchful eye. Anybody in the world of cycling knows that the UCI has been the banner, whether it has been for road bikes, BMX racing for many years, and now giving the structure and the platform for BMX Freestyle. The first time it was ever in the Olympics was in the Tokyo 2020 Games, and the UCI is helping create this platform. And we're here with the Urban World Series are working hand in hand to create this platform for riders to not only make a name for themselves, but to also get some of those very valuable points that work towards the Paris 2024 Games as far as the qualifier goes. You see 2 riders down there. That is Shaun Gornall and our number 1 qualifier, James Jones. They're going to have the opportunity to sit out on the sideline for the first heat, watch the first 6 riders on the course. And you know, we talked about this in the past, Mark. There's definitely a little bit of strategy. If a rider qualifies and they have an opportunity to watch all the other riders go, they can basically decide how much risk versus reward, what level of riding do I have to bring to this course, and where is that going to fit as far as what the judges see.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they get to sit back and see what the judges are scoring high, what they're scoring low. And then they need to know, they get the kind of privilege of sitting there saying, oh, you know what? I need to add an extra banger into my run if I want to compete with that kind of score. So they're going to be, you know, using that competition experience to their advantage. And they get the privilege of waiting to watch that first heat go through. But if we get some very high scores coming in that first heat, that also puts the pressure on them and builds up a little bit more pressure as they drop in, and the nerves can get hold of a lot of the riders. You know, this isn't just about winning here today. It's about building up those points for the Olympics as well. So it's not just dropping in for the finals of Andalucía Urban. You're dropping in to build up points as we move forward to Paris 2024.
Those are all really great things for us to keep in mind as we watch our 12 riders on the course. If you got yourself a smartphone and you haven't given us a follow yet, you can do so on Instagram. It's just at Urban World Series, or on our YouTube channel, Urban World Series. I know we've got a lot of BMX fans cheering on our riders. I can see in the comment section that we've got Ash Finley, our first rider who's going to take to the course, is definitely a favorite. He had a little bit of difficulty in qualifying. He went down and had a hard crash, but Ash is tough as nails. He got back up, and his score was enough to be here. I had a chance to talk to him, Mark, before the contest, and he said he is ready to bring his all for the crowd out here in Andalucia. And let's see if he gives a signature red carpet entrance that he's known for. Here we go. Kicking that frame around. I believe that was 2 times on the double tail whip, and then potentially a double in the opposite direction right there. Regardless of what you and I can see from our announcer tower, all of our judges definitely get the perspective on that double backflip. That was perfect across the box jump. So much commitment is needed from Ash as we see him float that 360 all the way across their center features.
I was going to say that was so floaty, that transfer. And then keeping it going. Ash is really coming out strong on this run number 1. And I think he's really setting the level pretty high as we move forward.
Yeah, the time is going to be important. 15 seconds to go. The judges want to see a rider's not lost on the course and that they're able to continually stack the tricks as it works down the clock right here. But Ash looking for that full pull, kicking that tail whip around 2 times right there. And then a flare tail whip smooth at the buzzer. Ash just smashing a huge run, full pull. The crowd is absolutely loving Ash. Talk about making it happen on his first go out there. I know that he's got a lot of fans cheering on at home. Definitely his brother Ryan, his sister Maddie, and his amazing dad Tony is loving that double backflip. You saw the commitment mark 2 times around. He was able to spot the landing and come in nice and smooth. But then at the end of that 60 seconds, if you're a rider and you're winded, you would not know it at all by how fast and smooth and high Ash was able to catch that flare tail whip to pedals.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard one to follow. And it wasn't just what he did, it was how he landed. Absolutely everything perfect, pretty much. And I think the judges are going to be rewarding that super high as we move forward.
Yeah, our next rider, he was the 2021 national champion. As you mentioned, he's from Italy, riding for the Italian cycling team. This is Francesco Mongiglio. He is going to drop in and try to make things work. As we said, he relocated near Venice. H Farm is his local park. He said he's really loving this course and he wants to just bring a cleaner style to the course. That's what he said. He's been focusing a lot on his riding, and you see that he didn't take a pedal right there and just flowed up and over that big wall. And if a rider can keep their momentum and just land nice and smooth like we're seeing here, that's the thing that the judges like, because it shows control of the course and it shows that you're in control when you do tricks. So even like that, this 360, which is more of a foundational trick, he's just doing it so smooth, including that front flip.
Yeah, that front flip was incredible. The way he tucked his head down and just threw his shoulders forward. Almost looked too slow, but really bringing it round.
Oh, having a little difficulty, but able to keep it going. Gets that alley-oop. That's when a rider winds up transferring backwards and floating as opposed to turning in their traditional direction. Grabs the transition, kicks a tail whip, and unfortunately going down right there. But you can see his hands are up under that full face, his smiles there, getting the round of applause from the crowd. Gonna have another opportunity to try to up the ante. Now, if a rider does have a crash, their score will still count, but their points will be deducted within that time. Look at the many highlights of the smooth and stylish Italian, kicking that frame around 2 times. Look at the perspective right there. Front flip, that was perfect. The way that Francesco just spotted the landing, came in, and was able to get that smooth. Unfortunately, had the crash, so he's going to have an opportunity to up the ante in his next run. But you can see the way that that was reflected. Ash's score is an 81. And that's going to be the score to beat as we get working through our third rider.
Yeah, already on to rider number 3, Elia Benetton. Second Italian rider. Starting up on the ever-popular huge roll-in, that giant orange behemoth.
Yeah, Elia off
the crowd.
He also traveled here with Francesco, so they are teammates, they are friends, and they are riding partners together at H-Farm Skate Park, rather. And look at that, 2 big hits right there, that alley-oop flare. Look at the smooth downside 360 tail whip, catching it.
So perfect. Really, really smooth riding so far.
One thing we want to note is the way that he's been transferring left and right. This is a linear skate. Oh!
Wow, that is the thing with that box jump. There is no forgiveness. You can't case that thing. If you hang up, you're going to see exactly what happened right there. There is no platform to land on. Such a sharp edge to catch on.
Yeah, Mark, and especially when the riders to transfer around the park, you have to go off of one takeoff and adjust your distance and speed to land in one of those other transitions. And the way that he was transferring was to land into that box jump takeoff backwards. That's very steep. And as you said, it's sharp on the edge. He wasn't able to get the distance, but that was a great way to start it off with the backflip tail whip variation and then kicking the downside 360 tail whip. You could also see that no-handed 360 over the box. So unfortunately going down, gonna have another opportunity out there. We talk about it being best run format that counts. Hopefully all of our riders had a little difficulty, get some of the nerves out, and we'll see them for his second run in the ring.
Yeah, first run nerves is very much a thing, and I think maybe a little bit happening there. Just misjudging the speed and hanging up on that backwards box jump, and it being reflected very much so from the judges there. As you said earlier, if you're going to fall, it's going to really affect that score, and I think we're only going to see clean runs in our top three. I think that prediction's pretty much right.
Yeah, I mean, the judges here really have a level and a benchmark to go off of because this is a UCI C1 event. That is part of the UCI structure as far as the points go towards the Olympic rankings. You can find that all out on the UCI website and see how you can get involved in an event that's taking place in your part of the world. But right now, we're going to move on to Colombia. Our next rider dropping in, this is Sebastián Cuellar. Yes,
no messing around on the first hit.
Big double backflip. Currently living out in Barcelona, so he didn't have too far to travel to get here to the event. Now take a look. His riding is more of a traditional trails rider, so to speak. And what I mean by that, Mark, you just see the style as he flows. Even the toboggan, he gets such height, drifting that 360, just dangling that back leg. And you can see the way that he's able to just speed up and grab and really milk each one of these transitions for speed.
Yeah, so exciting to watch and to see a completely different approach to not only the tricks but the use of course as well is so good.
Yeah, big ups to just see that he's been really pushing his riding alley-oop tabletop. He wanted to give a shout out to his mom and his sisters who have really just been cheering him on throughout his BMX career. He wanted to pursue his passion, moved out to Barcelona, and right now we see him here at our Andalucía Urban just ripping things up, looking great in his first run, and really making his presence known. The 21-year-old Colombian, Sebastián Cuellar, has a very promising future, and right now he's doing it for Free Gun, and he's doing it for Colombians in the finals. So, Mark, I love this run. Let's take a look. That double backflip, such height, such commitment. That was in the beginning of his run, too. There is a look at the double tail whip with the transfer, and look at the style as he dips down that front wheel, kicks the leg back, and there you're taking a look under the hood of a 360 can-can. So a lot of great riding right there, catching his breath, and it looks like he's going to move up into that second place position just behind Ash Finlay.
Yeah, incredible riding there, and as I said before, a different approach to trick choice. And I mean, sometimes it comes down to just that one trick in the final can put you in first or second place. And I think having that different approach to the course is definitely setting him apart. And that's why he's in that second place position as we move forward.
All right, we are going to go over to Italy right now, 24 years old, doing it for TK Dirt Co. This is Christian Falvo, riding for 10 years, repping, also riding over at H Farm. A lot of riders getting it done out there. Here we go, starting things off with that big double whip, bar spin across.
I want to know what they're feeding those guys over at H Farm. Seems to be doing pretty well.
Might have to plan a trip out there for you and I to get some riding in. Look at the height on that flare right there. That's what we talk about, into that big embankment. You could just let it rip and you don't have to be as precise coming in. Look at that in front flip.
Wow.
Oh man, not able to get his feet all the way back on the pedals, but that was a full commitment right there. So much is going on. Hopefully we'll have a replay of that, but regardless, I'm going to break that trick down a little bit for you. So you see on that tail whip, how he has to use his upper body to get the back end of the bike to wind up spinning and getting the rotation. There is that flare at such height. But on that front flip tail whip, you got to put your weight over the handlebars, but you have to kick the back end around and make sure that your knees don't hit the bars and you have the clearance. And that's a hard thing to do while your weight's over the bars. Really went for it, not able to get the full spin, full rotation, and the bike underneath. Thankfully, Christian is okay. He's going to have another opportunity to hopefully pull that front flip tail whip, which was awesome, and we'll see. We're going to be rooting for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's you mentioned it earlier on, the high risk to high reward. We're in the finals now. There is no need to hold back. It's throw everything and the kitchen sink all in there. And it's going to take things like front flip tail whips to be able to walk away with that gold medal. And you can see as we move down through the heat now, and we're getting closer to the top qualifiers, the standard is changing slightly and bigger tricks are being done. And it's just getting more and more exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, well, our next rider is representing France, currently living in Montreal, Canada, 27 years old. He actually has made a career out of riding. He rides with Cirque du Soleil, where he performs on a nightly basis, meaning he gets a lot of time performing when it counts in front of a crowd. Let's see if some of that experience shows right now for Kevin Fabreg. So we got to watch out for spins in both directions from this rider. He's known to do things opposite. Look at the height on that flare. That is coming in with a backflip, front flip bar spin.
Nearly landed on the floor. So big.
Look at this. Yeah, front flip bar spin, no problems. Coming in over the box with a double flip. Oh, man. You see just a little too much gas right there going off the side of the horse. But maybe going to get back on it. 30 seconds to go. I know that riders, they know the judges are looking for perfection, but sometimes your second run doesn't go your way, and you want to try to get the best run you can, but it looks like Kevin is going to save his energy and save himself for his second run. Now, Mark, one thing I want to highlight, we saw Kevin started off with that huge flare on that vert quarter pipe. That is a much more difficult thing to do than into that wedge ramp where you transfer, because you have to clear that coping and you're coming into a very tall, steep ramp. And the fact that he chose to do that on his first hit, on his first wall, is really cool. A lot of riders will drop in and hit the box jump, but it just shows how much control Kevin has on the course. So he's going to be sitting in that sixth place spot. He's going to have a lot of room to work up, but there is that pressure factor where he's going to have to really work things out, because Ash has that 81.67, and that is going to be the current score to beat.
Yeah, and I think Kevin's probably got a few people worried from the way he came out from that run, and I think if he completed the run, you know, the standard started way higher, and I think it was only going to get higher and higher and higher. And I think maybe the likes of Ash and the rest of the riders are going to be thinking, you know what, I need to step up my game now if I'm going to keep up with what was potentially going to happen from Kevin.
Yeah, well, right now, Ash is getting everybody here in Spain cheering on. I know that the entire live chat's going nuts. We've got his sister Maddie and his dad Tony saying, come on, Ash, bring the heat. And he is with that 720 spot in the landing straight into a double tail whip. Ash with the no-handed transfer into the box jump landing, the landing that became a takeoff. And right now over the box jump with a double backflip. Ash is looking solid out here. He's looking to up his first run score, which was an 81.57. Ash looking for that alley-oop on the quarter pipe, swinging back with the 360 tail whip, super committed to that landing. Mark, if he can keep it together, this is a very big second run. 23 seconds on that clock.
Yeah, still 20 seconds to go is incredible with so many tricks that happened already, and it's no slowing down for Ash Finley at the moment.
Doing it for Team Great Britain, Vocal BMX, Stux Gloves, and Flare for Media. 5 seconds, throwing that flare.
Yet again, another solid run from Ash Finley. Really doing Great Britain proud there. And he looks super hyped on there. And I mean, the way he approached that whole run, everything was about accuracy and just landing everything perfect. And that kept that speed going. And you could see he's probably got 2 more tricks in there from anyone else on the course so far.
Yeah, that is going to be a big thing, the amount of tricks, not only the difficulty, which he had down. Very cool view of that double tail whip. Ash also has regular and opposite tricks as well that he peppered in, so that was really cool to see for Ash.
So already our leader.
Like that 67 is currently held on by Ash. So that score right there, we're going to see if he can work it up at all with a little bit of a higher score. And it looks like he actually might have worked it up just a little bit. 81.68. So you can see how tight the judges are actually looking at the score. Less than a tenth of a point right there, moving up. You see all the other riders cheering on. They're checking out the scores, trying to see what Ash is getting, and kind of doing a little bit of calculations, I'm sure, of what they're going to have to do in their runs.
And we're moving on to Italy's Francesco, looking to improve on that run number 1 score. Last attempt, gonna have to throw everything at it now to be able to climb up. And knowing that there's another heat of riders to come through, you've got to start pushing and pushing yourself so hard.
Yeah, the 2021 national champion. Look at that 360, hung up the back wheel a little bit, but able to get the gas going again. He's got so many family and friends cheering on at home. I had a chance to talk before the contest, and he said that support means the world as he is pursuing his BMX dreams, representing the Italian cycling team. 360 with the bar spin, known as that truck driver. And Mark, we see these center features. Right here is that big step up with the front flip going across. But you have all of these different distances as far as transfers. That was the big extended spine. You have the smaller spine, which is only about a foot in length. But right now is a cannonball, taking everything off and grabbing the seat with one arm. Trying to get an alley-oop transfer going. 10 seconds on the clock. These are going to be important.
Yeah, it's coming right down to the last few tricks. Francesco hanging in there. I thought he was going to hang up on that other side of that ramp there.
Yeah, getting that 540, that's the circle and a half. You saw he pumped that front wheel. He was able to not hit the ramp when he came in. Also, the fact that that was that wedge he was landing on, it gave him a little bit of breathing room as opposed to that being on just a traditional quarter pipe. There you see where it went a little bit wrong in his run with that 360 hanging up, but that's exactly where it went right on that front flip all the way around, spotted the landing, able to come around and keep the thing going for that full seconds. We are going to see what the judges think. I know you and I like that run. Right there saying hi to all of us at home, cheering on.
Yeah, all smiles after run number 2.
So a 65.33 is going to put him currently in that 3rd place spot. As we mentioned, over 8,000 euros are up for grabs. Whichever rider gets on top of that podium is going to get top bragging rights, the biggest chunk of those euros, and also the crucial BMX C1 UCI points for the Paris 2024 Games.
But it's worth mentioning, just to be able to get through to compete in the final here at Andalucía Urban is such a big feat.
Yes, it is, and that was a huge feat. That backflip tail whip into the alley-oop flare, grabbing it really high. So right now we are seeing a similar approach to his first run, and that's because the judges want that perfection, and we are going to see if he's able to just up the ante each time, throwing down that flare. I believe that was an opposite right there. A little hard to see from our perspective, but what we can see is that front flip into the no-hander, ripping things around. And I just want to highlight again, regardless of what Mark and I are able to call from our announcing tower, all the judges see all the action, like that backflip transfer. That was the perfect example, Mark, of how a rider has to adjust their speed and distance to find that landing.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier, there's so many different distances and angles to land on. It's hard to keep up. Oh, no way. Really needed that last one. You could see the disappointment there.
All right, well, listen, Mark, no rider wants to crash, but if it is going to happen, you'd rather it in the final seconds of your run because you were able to utilize the 56 seconds before then, getting all the points with great tricks like that 360 downside tail whip. Look at the no-handed 360, bars perfectly tucked into the lap. Alaya has been traveling a lot lately, riding a ton of BMX, and which is really cool, he's actually working to start a BMX freestyle school in Italy, where he's going to be able to teach the next generation of riders. So it's always cool when you see that entrepreneurial spirit and you see riders saying, hey, I want to try to create a platform for not only his fellow rider, but also for the future. So big ups to Alaya Bennington for going out there and really trying to put it all on the line.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to get taught in a school like by Alaya, you're going to do well. I think that, you know, you're going to be way up there at the standards.
I mean, sign us up. I'm down to take some classes out there. Let's go.
So we're on to rider number 4 of heat number 1, run number 2, and another 60 seconds on the clock for the Colombian, Sebastián Cuellar.
All right, well, we are going to see what tricks he's going to bring. This might be a different technique or approach. You know, the riders, it's up to them. They can start wherever they want on the course at whatever vantage point, and it's the 60 seconds to get as creative as they want. They're essentially, their bike is their brush and the course is their canvas, and we are seeing height on that backflip tail whip.
That's the kind of picture I want
really
to see
emphasize
painted.
the height.
Yeah, really boosted, and this is just exactly how he rides. No holding back. It's full or nothing at all. Look at that.
That was beautiful. The transfer, dipping it out, taking the foot off. I got to tell you, I'm a huge fan of the style we are seeing out of Sebastian. You saw how he took a foundation trick, just pedaling in the air, known as an ET, and then just motoed his bike sideways and got nice and juicy coming into that transition. 24 seconds to go. Sebastian popping up, waving to the crowd. Let's see. He might be calling it a little bit early there, Mark.
Yeah, looks like it. I want to see more. I want more.
I do too.
I really want it. I love the way he rides. His style is so good.
Sebastian, I don't want to take away from any of the other riders out there, but I got to tell you, I'm really loving what I see when you're on course. And you teased us in this second run, because take a look, that tail whip, he was able to catch it, spot the landing, and there's that moto I was talking about, just sideways, taking the pedals, and then just finding that transition in. And the cool thing is, a lot of riders that maybe aren't contest riders, they'll focus a little more on style. And sometimes contest riders will focus a little bit more on doing the tricks, but it's always cool when you see a rider bring both of those elements together. And again, not taking away from any of the other guys out there, but that is such a cool thing to see where he was able to make it happen. So it looks like a 75 even is going to be the score for Sebastián Cuellar. That means he's going to be sitting in that second spot just behind Ash Finlay.
Yeah, and you know that if it looks that good, it must feel 200 times better. It's so good to watch Sebastián flying. We're moving over to Christian Falvo from Italy. Run number 2 and another 60 seconds on the clock. Here we go.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Great perspective on that transfer. You saw the double tail whip from that bird's eye view, how they have to adjust, and that is a difficult thing to do when you're trying to spot your landing on that no-hander. And then look at that big flare. That was another cool camera angle perspective where you saw that even though this is the linear course, he's working back and forth each part of the ramp, and there's the front flip tail whip.
Wow.
Yes!
Getting it done this time.
Getting it to pedals. That is some redemption right there. But let's see, what's he going to do with the 23 seconds? We haven't seen this part clean yet from Christian.
Not holding back and keeping it moving as we go through to the last few seconds. We got coming down to 10 seconds on the clock. Keep it going.
I know that his family, friends, and girlfriend are cheering him on as he's got 3 seconds. Alley-oop, can, getting it done. Flying out into the middle of the ramp, and you can see right now, Italy is loud and proud, being represented by Christian Falvo, 24 years old. TK Dirt & Co., Front Ocean BMX Distribution. And here we go. Front flip with the tail whip. And that's what I was talking about, where you have to put your weight so far into the handlebars, but he was able to manipulate the bike with the whip and then really tuck in and not hit his knees.
Nearly had those handlebars in his mouth as he pulled that one round. Tucked up so much. Incredible ride in there.
So the score to beat is that 81.67. Great Britain's Ash Finlay in that top spot. We are going to see, it's going to need an 81.68 to move on up. These are always the stressful moments for a rider. They got to see what the judges think. I mean, Mark, you and I, we made our point clear. That was an awesome front flip tail whip. Really liked seeing the way the Italian just had control on the course.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what the judges are really going to be rewarding, that control and knowing that that rider knows every inch of that course and can adapt, you know, and just change up. You're saying about all those different gaps that you got there. It's so hard to not case those landings or overshoot some of these ramps as well.
All right, well, that was not enough to get him up into the podium, but one rider we haven't seen do a full pull just yet is the rider representing France, currently living in Montreal, Canada. This is Kevin Fabreg.
Yeah, last ride and another 60 seconds on the clock. Run 2 of 2, starting it off how we saw it before. Wow!
Ooh, such height right there. I know that Jeffrey Whaley and Maxime Chafleur, some of his riding buddies, are cheering him on right now as we are seeing the action of the high-flying Kevin Fabreg ripping back into our step feature. Double backflip. Really dialed bar spin transferring. Doing it for Cana. Next generation physio and the French Federation. Patrick Guimez. Yeah, there you go. I believe that was a triple on the bar spins right there. That might have been a 360 triple truck driver. Again, if we can't see from our perspective, do not worry at all, because the judges all have their eyeballs peeled on things like that 360 floating alley-oop right into the transition. 10 seconds for Kevin as he works it out with the 360 whip. Come on, Kevin, let's get it. Big exclamation point. Yo!
Oh, I would have loved to have seen that last trick go down, but it was right on the buzzer. And I think he'd done enough already. You know, incredible riding there from Kevin again. And getting all the way through to that buzzer this time.
There you see our current leader, Ash Finlay, giving some props. Look at the height on that flare. That's a backflip with the 180 on that vert quarter pipe, popped it all the way out. It's essentially a vert ramp, and that was huge. The front flip transfer, that was definitely one of the highlights. And there we saw that was a triple truck driver. He threw the bars 3 times around, hot hands. I love the way he threw him, caught him, threw him, caught him, threw him. So right there was a solid run, but you could see the rider camaraderie. Ash Finlay giving some props, giving some respect. It doesn't look like that's going to be enough to potentially shake up that top leaderboard. So it looks like it's going to be Finlay, Cuellar, and Mongilio are going to be our 1, 2, and 3 as we wrap up our first heat of riders. But that means our second heat of riders are going to be taking the course. They are going to have a moment of practice. But let's take a look at some of these many highlights from our athletes.
Wow, crazy view there, that front flip.
Yeah,
so big on that, Daryl. Like, we're seeing not just the craziest tricks, but they're all done probably 3-4 foot higher than ever at the moment. Like, you know, and I know some of these tricks you do need to go that high to have the time to actually do the tricks. You know, like a front flip whip is going to be a timing thing, you know. You have to get a certain amount of height to be able to get that trick done.
Yeah, Mark, that's a good point you bring up. I mean, it's kind of hard to see the perspective of just how big these ramps are from home, and I only say that because our quarter pipes and vert ramps on either side, sandwiching and giving the bookend, are so massive. So you almost lose perspective that these box jumps are so tall. But before the event, I had an opportunity to talk a little bit with Sebastián Cuellar, and he said he doesn't really have an opportunity to ride ramps this size. So he doesn't even really have an opportunity to practice on a course on a regular basis, because that's just how big these ramps are, and it's giving the riders the opportunity for the hang time. I think the best example of this has been the double backflip that we've seen over the top of your screen, that step up box jump feature. We've seen double backflips in the middle of riders' runs. Sometimes that used to be at the end of your run. That was like, hey, I'm putting all my chips on the table.
And that wasn't that long ago, right?
Beginning. No, it wasn't at all. And now to see it mid-run, that just shows you not only how dialed the riders are, but also the fact that that box jump is really given the height that they can get around 2 times with that commitment.
Yeah, and that rolling as well being so big, that's definitely going to give you that speed that you need. But one thing I can't believe is that these combinations of tricks being called halfway through a run. You know, you're saying double backflip, but it's not just that. It's other tricks as well mid-run. They used to be bangers, or, you know, in a best trick section, you'd maybe see it done once. but now we're seeing it mid-run, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, and to somebody who maybe has not ridden BMX before and it's new, the reason why that's more difficult is because you have to essentially lace all these tricks together. And if you're so focused and you're at the very edge of your ability and you land and then have to do another trick afterwards, it's a really difficult thing. So you got to walk that line. We mentioned risk versus reward and really work to make it happen. So right now we are going to move to our second heat of 6 riders. As we said in the finals, there are 12 total. It doesn't matter if you're in the first heat or the second heat, you are competing against each other. Our next rider is coming out of France, doing it for Pro Rider 34 and Passion BMX. This is Sebastián Cuellar. Yes!
Oh, coming straight out with a double back. I mean, we couldn't have written that, could we?
No, I think you might have a live feed going right now, hearing us in his ear, because that double flip was perfect. That's that red carpet entrance. And look at the cash roll right there. That is such a wild trick where you are floating backwards, do the backflip, and then 180 back around to the landing right there. Look at the height, hopping the flare, and unfortunately going down at that halfway mark. You see 30 seconds, but all of our fans out here in Andalucía cheering on Sebastián, and I really hope that he's okay and he's going to get an opportunity to take his second run.
He's looking pretty good, just a disappointment there on his face, and that's a dangerous run, I think. Coming out like that with that double backflip, and then it was moving forward. We've seen so many good tricks go down, and we only got halfway through the run.
Yeah, he actually has spent some time over in the States. He went to Daniel Dare's skate park in North Carolina where he's working on some new tricks. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see that in his second run. But he actually traveled out here with Kevin Fabrig, Maxime Orsini, and Marin Rantes, who we're going to see ride in this heat as well. So even though the riders are competitors against each other, they are also brothers and sisters of BMX, and they're cheering each other on, and they want to make sure that the other rider can do their best as well, because you always want to be up against someone where it brings out the best in you. But we're seeing right there a little bit of back wheel maintenance. The back wheel might have bent a little bit or shifted in the frame. He's going to have time to get that worked on in between his runs. Maybe if there's a bike problem, he'll wind up borrowing a part, or he could wind up what they call truing the wheel, where you use a spoke wrench and actually bring the wheel back into line.
So moving on to our second rider in heat number 2 out of Great Britain, we've got Jude Jones.
Well, this rider is definitely lighting it up on the chat. We got everyone cheering him on, especially Jake Bradley, who's saying, go, Jude, go, dropping in. 360 bar spin to double downside tail whip. That was 4 tricks in one. Massive for Jude.
No messing around as he comes in. First trick. This is how he's going.
Right now, his mom, Katie, dad, Simon, and his brothers, Manny and Ruben, are cheering on. Look at the combinations. But I know one voice that's yelling at the screen more so than anyone is his little cousin, Roxy, who loves to watch him compete. The family support says it means so much to Jude, and that's really what gets behind him to pull these big hit combinations that we're seeing. 20 seconds to go. Jude floating that 360, spot in the landing. Take a look at the rhythm as he does a backflip with the tail whip over the extended spine, lands high up in the transition, and look at the speed, no-handed front flip. We are seeing a big run right now. Jude, can he put an exclamation point? Front flip over the spine.
Wow, hanging in there. No way. Just managing to get back down there. You need to take a breather after that. You're just struggling to keep up. That was incredible riding from Jude there. Oh, wow.
Jude making his country proud. Great Britain, also his sponsor, Core. I mean, he had so many tricks in one air. Yeah, you are right. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it on the bike. Talk about a tongue twister while you're trying to call the run. Look at that, the no-handed front flip, so many hit combos. You are just seeing the future of BMX right here happening as we speak. Jude Jones, 21 years old, regularly rides out at Corby, and he said he loves this extreme course. The Urban Extreme is one that really favors his riding, having the opportunity to just give him the showcase for his tricks, and we're seeing that with those big combinations. So as we mentioned, Ash Findlay, the score to beat, 81.67. We are waiting for score.
pretty high there, Ash, from run number 1, but I think that's all just changed.
Let's see. We've got a new leader right here, and his name is Jude Jones. Great Britain moving to the top right there as we have the 86.33 for Jude Jones. All right, our next rider, 27 years old. He was the 2018 UCI World Cup champion. He got second place in the 2022 European Championships. He is a superstar in his hometown, or his home country of Croatia. Currently spends a lot of time in North Carolina at Daniel Dare's Action Sports Complex. This is Marin Rantes.
Wow. No messing around, starting things off with a banger.
Yeah, these are big tail whip combinations. The back ends are going crazy out there, putting 3-4 hits together in one. Look at that, whipping with the 3 and the bars, double time around. Marin means business as he has hot hands on that triple truck driver. It's a 360 with 3 bar spins. Look at the focus, the 720 tail whip at the 30-second mark. If Marin can keep things together, this can definitely shake up our top leaders. Marin is looking good. He can deliver under pressure because, as we mentioned, 2018 UCI World Cup champion. That means that he, throughout the entire course of the year, was dominating in the finals. So he's got the ability. Wall ride to tuck no-hander. We haven't seen a lot of riders throw combos out of the wall ride, and we judges want to know. Front flips.
Perfect.
Coming on in.
Landed
with
that
lawn dart.
So good. Marin absolutely linking one of the best runs I've ever seen together. Use of course, you know, trick selection was out of this world. So good to see.
Casually throwing triple tail whips that double over the channel. Look at that 720 with the tail whip. That's such a hard move to do because you're doing a 360 tail whip and then you got to put your feet back on him for that second 360. You saw the way he pulled his body into the handlebars to speed up his rotation and really make sure that he could get around and spot the landing. Because when you're doing the tail whip out there, it actually spreads you apart as far as your center goes, and it can definitely change. So let's see, and it looks like we have a brand new leader, and his name is Marin Rantes from Croatia.
Wow, the judges really rewarding him on that, and this is what we said earlier, going to start seeing that leaderboard move around as we go into the second heat, and it's definitely not looking like slowing up at the moment as we move on to rider number 4 of heat number 2, and we got 60 seconds on the clock for Shaun Gornall.
Mafia Bikes, Applied Nutrition, and British Cycling. He's got his coach, Jamie Bestwick, and Greg Illingworth cheering him on, along with his partner, Jody, the kids, Eddie and Charlie. They're saying, let's go, Shaun Gornall, bring it in, and let's get on top of that podium. Backflip tail whip, a lot of height right there, landed smooth. Look at how clean he is on the pedals. He's not having to readjust his feet at all. Just confident, stomping and getting his body pumping into the transition as he builds speed on that 360 bar spin to tuck no-hander. Shaun charging back, 360 bar spin, getting smooth re-entry, getting the decade, wrapping around the top tube right there. Big trick, 360 double bar spin. Tail whip across that channel. Gornall looking solid as he kicks it in his opposite direction 2 times. Slips the pedal, but Mark, he's back on it.
Yeah, no hanging around, straight back on it, and boosting up, back across.
Come on,
Other
Shaun.
side and back up that roll in. Still coming down to the last trick. No, looks like he's going to call it on that one.
All right,
Maybe
well, I got to give
didn't work out
Shaun
how
some
he
major
thought he
props.
was-
Now living in Chester, out in the UK, and I got to say, Shaun had a very, very impressive first half of his run. He's going to have an opportunity to clean things up in his second run, but look at the height and just watch how clean his feet have been on the pedals that entire run. And what I mean by that is that he just lands dead center and he's able to pump and have control on the course. He didn't look like he was riding above his ability or that he was lost out there, and he was super stylish. He has the ability also to spin and do whips in his opposite direction. So again, those are things that we definitely want to keep our eyes peeled for. And I just want to stress again, If there's something that you or I can't see from our perspective, the judges' eyes are there, and we have zero impact on the judges. They actually can't even hear our feed the way the UCI has it, that it's just set up for complete regulation and to be an even playing field as the riders are competing for the points. So it looks like we're going to have a little bit of a shake, but not on the podium. Gornall is going to move into that 4th place spot, looking just outside of top 3, but he'll have another opportunity to step things up.
Yeah, I'm keeping it with Great Britain. We've got rider number 5 of heat number 2, run number 1, and 60 seconds on the clock for Dylan Hesse.
All right,
Hesse,
to this third in the UK championships. He's also getting the support from back home. Mom, dad, and his girlfriend are watching the feed right now. We know that they are on the edge of their seat, probably standing up cheering for the Hyper BMX Snafu British cycling team rider. Jamie Bestwick and Greg Illingworth are his coaches. To have 2 of the most talented riders, one for Bert, the other for an all-around ripper, giving you pointers at this point in your career, being 19 years old. It's definitely working because he was our number 2 qualifier. So we're going to see right now if Dylan can turn it up in his first run and put everything on the line. Here we go. Backflip bar spin to tail whip. Alley-oop, look at that, floating backwards with that backflip 180 and then lofting the 360 double tail whip. Dylan charging back with a backflip. I believe that was a double bar spin backflip, but it might have been a triple. I know he's got that in his arsenal, and we just saw the 360 triple transfer as he threw the bars 3 times. So that's something we're definitely going to want to watch on the replay. There was another triple bar spin. He's got these on lock. It is a automatic pop, 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 just throwing them so quick. Front flip. Mark, he's working things out, 15 seconds.
Yeah, proper sense of urgency in this run. Really, really good timing and back-to-back tricks. There's no filler, it's all thriller on this run.
Yeah, those triple bar spins really has on lock. He's able to just release, throw the bars, catch, release, throw the bars, catch, release 3 times around, and he's done so many triple bar spins. So similar what we were talking about, not only the degree of difficulty that the riders bring, but also the frequency and number of tricks can play big into their score. We have seen it throughout the competition so far, but let's take a look, especially at those hands. There's the 360 double tail whip. Here's a look at another double tail whip. That time was over the shortened spine, but you saw the bars flying, catching them quick.
Yeah, super fast hands. And
so
it was just the frequency of it as well. Back-to-back tricks, so technical.
The score to beat currently held by Marin Rantes. I believe that's a 90.67. So Marin, the only rider to break into the 90s, gonna have to really hope that those bar spins will count towards the score. We see the riders right there. They are watching the live feed as well, checking out what the scores. You are getting this hot off the press as the numbers come in around the world. It's so cool to see how many riders in the chat are cheering on our riders, getting behind it. Big shout out. It looks like Jamie Bestwick's in the chat saying, let's go, Dylan. All right, so he's going to move up into that 3rd place spot. So he's going to be on the podium, but we still have our number 1 qualifier who is yet to ride, and then we're going to work all the way through heat number 2 again.
So, first place qualifier through from yesterday's semis out of Great Britain. We have the amazing James Jones. This is going to be pretty hectic, I think, Darryl.
Yeah, this is going to be one for the ages right here. And I say that because this was our number 1 qualifier. James Jones dropping in. Swansea standing loud and proud. Look at the height right there on that flare tail whip, spot it coming in straight into that transfer with the 360 whip around. Spotting it on as he goes with the backflip bar spin to tuck no-hander. His coach, Jamie Bestwick, is so hyped to see that big vert quarter riding skills as James Jones working things out, setting up to go backwards with that corked out 720, landing into that steep transition. The difficulty is much harder when a rider lands in the takeoff because it is a steeper, smaller margin of error where a rider really has to be precise. James Jones, 17 seconds as he floats that whip. Looking for things as he takes the hands off on that 360. 10 seconds. Our #1 qualifier wants to be on top, kicking that frame around. Here we go. No-handed flare. Charging back. Spinning his opposite right there. Here we go. And that is time for the Canna rider, James Jones.
You can see exactly why James is in that first place position as we qualified through. With riding like that, you definitely know why. He's got a serious, massive account of air miles, I'd say. He does not hang around. He likes to go big.
I mean, listen, Mark, if you're going to bring up air miles and James Jones, the fact that he did that flare tail whip out of the big vert quarter pipe you see that he's on, that's essentially a vert ramp. And just having that confidence to do that as opposed to on the quarter pipe into the big wedge, there's such a different level of difficulty. It's not even in the same league because you have that margin of error that we talked about, same as jumping the box jump backwards. The steeper you're landing and the more precise you have to be to make sure you don't hang up on that coping and you can still catch that transition. That is what you're working with. So as we mentioned, James Jones was our #1 qualifier. You see he's catching his breath. He's waiting for the judges to come in. I'm so hyped that we've got on our live feed, we've got all of his coaches, Greg Illingworth, Jamie Bestwick cheering on. We also have his teammates. As we mentioned, there's 5 riders from Great Britain out in the finals who are really representing loud and proud. Right now, Marin Rantes from Croatia is our only rider in the 90s, and he is currently holding on to that top spot. So the score that he's going to have to do better than will be a 90.68 to lead.
And this is the last score to be inputted onto the board. So we'll be taking it back to the top of the heat.
And it looks like that was not enough to bring him to the top. So Marin, I believe, unofficially is going to be holding on to that top spot as we go into our final run here. So this is heat number 2 of 2 here at the Andalucía Urban UCI C1 Paris 2024 points qualifier men's final. Dropping in right now is Sebastián Cuellar representing France with a big double backflip, spotting that landing. Look at that floating, that flare, grabbing that transition really smooth. And look at the confidence as he gets a clean wall ride going coast to coast, and the cash roll right there. That's when you do a 180, you're floating backwards, get the backflip, and then spin another 180 around. Look at the confidence here. Let's see, 30 seconds down, 720, only traveling a distance in foot across that spine's a difficult thing. Mark, he slipped the pedal, but let's channel our energy for Sebastián and hope that he can get it going and keep it strong for the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, that last 20 seconds is going to be so important right now. Looks like he's slowed down that tempo a bit, and I think maybe knowing that that's going to be very hard to come back for and to get onto the podium with a slip off of the pedal.
Having some difficulty right there. You can see a little bit of frustration, but I got to tell you, Esteban, I'm so psyched to see you out here riding and doing your thing. Very impressive showing to be in the finals, let alone doing a huge double backflip like that. And just even kicking that downside 360 tail whip or that cash roll was so confident, just smashing the landing. What I mean by that, he's just putting all his energy in, grabbing nice and smooth and clean, and able to just focus on what's on the next wall.
Yeah, like we keep saying, just to get through to the final, let alone in the top 6, is such a big feat. With these kind of names on the board, you know, you are up there with the best of the best competing today at the Andalucía Urban.
So we're seeing our top leaderboard, Marin Rantes, Jones, and Jones. We've got 2 of them, Jude Jones and James Jones. They are definitely going to be battling it out, but that is Great Britain sitting in 2 and 3. Croatia in that top spot. We are going to be working things along. Speaking of one of the Joneses, this is Jude Jones looking to turn the volume up, 21 years old. As we mentioned, Katie and Simon, his mom and dad cheering on. Also his little cousin Roxy. Yes, big 4-hit combo right there. You saw that double tail whip with the bar spin in that 360, put a downside in it, and that is what you got for Jude Jones. Trick selection over the big hitter. All right, no-hander flying across that channel. Jude Jones, 360 bar spin, downside tail whip to a bar spin. This is crazy. That's why we're seeing him on top of the board. Decade 720, I believe. That was insane.
Yeah, really stepping it up from run number one and looking like there's a real sense of urgency, just cruising around the course.
Yeah, we are going to have so many highlights. And as we mentioned, if there's something not called, and I'm just going to keep emphasizing on that because the judges all have the perspective. We're seeing things in real live time, like that front flip tail whip. That was crazy.
So good. Right on the buzzer as well. Last trick sneaking in there. Perfectly timed run there, Daryl.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Jude is so excited, throwing the hands up, just really pumped at the way his run went. A lot of energy at 60 seconds, but you are getting in the ring. You are putting your best out there for show. And let's take a look at the many highlights from Jude. There you go, the decade around, puts his feet back on the pedals and gets a 360. So essentially your body is doing a 720. Your bike is coming with you, your handlebars for the first 360, the back end staying still, and then you put your feet back on and then get the last 360 around. So it's a crazy one right there. 720 is done by your body, but half of your bike comes along for the full 720 and only half of it comes along for a 360. If you think trying to explain it's hard, imagine doing that in your run here in the finals. But Jude Jones, 21 years old for Great Britain, pulling that very smooth.
Yeah, and that last trick, the front flip over that small spine, so hard not to land on the flat there. Almost kind of like sucking up the landing and pulling himself backwards to get on and get that front wheel down. So impressive.
Yeah, we talk about this course being a little bit more linear, where there's not necessarily transitional bowl features. A lot of riders really like that because their riding's on display and you kind of can't hide in the course. And what I mean by that is you basically have to strut your stuff every time you hit a box jump, whether that's going straight or with a transfer, and really trying to work things out and make it happen. So the riding was on display, and really impressed to see what the 21-year-old Jude Jones put out there.
So moving on to Marin up next, run 2. 60 seconds on the clock. Crowd proper hype to see what goes down on this one. Not quite in the comfortable position to know that it's a free run.
Here we go. Marin Rantes dropping in, our current leader, kicking things off over the box jump, floating alley-oop no-hander, bar spin to tuck no-hander. Let's see if Marin tries to turn it up, because he knows that we still have more riders who can potentially bump him out. We're talking about James Jones, our #1 qualifier. 360, floating at height. I love the way that he was able to just nose it in and grab that transition. Look at the 720, totally sideways. You hear people say,
so well done.
You hear it all the time, a corked out 7, but that really was fully committed. His pelvis was right up in the handlebars and got so sideways. 20 seconds for Rantes, floating that 360 across the park. Gonna hop back in, and it looks like he's just gonna kind of cruise. Maybe pull back off the throttle right here. So Marin knows that his first run was definitely solid. He's in that 90s, and he's gonna stick with that score. Sometimes riders know, hey, if I'm not gonna potentially beat out my other score, I don't wanna take a chance of getting hurt. We talk about this as being points towards the Tokyo 2024, towards Paris 2024, and they wanna make sure that they can be competing the whole season. So Marin, big right there, kicking the frame. You saw he caught it with his foot and actually kicked the back end of the frame around halfway through his spin. That was really cool. But that 720 was the topping on the Sunday, coming around with his pelvis just pressed into the bars, getting that full spin. So Marin's first score, as we said, was a 90.67. I do not think that that will wind up upping it, because he didn't get the full pull. But a rider that does want to up the ante And we have an opportunity out here to get the full opportunity of those 60 seconds, milking it for all it's worth, is our 28-year-old Mafia Bikes rider repping Great Britain, Shaun Gornall.
Yeah, Shaun needs to put the work in to get up on that podium and hold on to those scores.
He's been riding a lot at Junction 4 Skate Park, Blackburn, really putting the time in. Now let's take a look. Shaun does do a lot of opposite and switch spins and whips, so we really want to keep an eye on that. Again, our perspective, if you guys see something, let us know in the comments that you see, but we really want to know, just stress that the judges are all peeled from their perspective.
Yeah,
so we'll drop it in right now. Shaun, backflip, kicking that frame around with the tail whip. There's the alley-oop floater.
So high on that.
Yeah, that tail whip he's able to grab. And I love this style. We mentioned this in the first run. He just grabs the pedal so clean, and he's able to land high in the transition, and he doesn't have to put any additional pedals in unless he wants to build speed for a big transfer like that. But you saw I was able to just float across the flat bottom into that decade, around the head tube. That was a huge move to do. All right, Shaun's got 23 seconds, smooth on the wall ride, builds momentum over, no-handed front flip right there.
Wow. Landed pretty low on the lander there, but able to get that speed back up so easily.
Come on, Shaun. Big front flip over the step up. Throw,
Just missing that last one, and I think maybe feeling the burn after a bit of a low lander.
Oh, that is very unfortunate right there. Yeah, 60 seconds is a very long time to be out on this course trying to make things go, but we know that Shaun rides for Applied Nutrition. He's been putting a lot of time in the gym, and it definitely shows because you need a lot of endurance to make these two 60-second runs happen. Here we go. Looking at the highlights from Shaun, unfortunately having that crash. I got to tell you, Shaun, I'm a big fan of your riding. We can't wait to keep cheering you on throughout the rest of our urban sports stops. Talking about June 16th and 18th, we are going to be in Madrid. And then September 16th and 18th, we are going to be in Extreme Barcelona. That's right, northeastern Spain for another Urban World Series event. But you can find out all the stops and all the action. Follow us on Instagram at Urban World Series, where you can see behind the scenes and a lot of the lifestyle that takes place not only with their BMX riders, but with their scooters, skateboards, and break dancers out here, because BMX is a lifestyle, it's a community, it's a family, and we definitely support that at the Urban World Series.
Yeah, Shaun looking a bit disappointed not making that last trick, but I think he should be stoked. He's ridden so well this weekend, and like you said, we're big fans here in the booth.
Yeah, Shaun, we're cheering you on. Definitely psyched. But right now, we've got the future of BMX being presented in real live time. We're talking about the 19-year-old Dylan Hesse. Currently lives in Wendes, UK. As we mentioned, his girlfriend, mom, and dad are watching, cheering on. Let's definitely keep our eyes peeled. Everyone watching at home, triple bar spins are on the potential menu right here. So watch for those hot hands.
Yeah, Team Dylan are going to be hyped with that start for sure.
Doing the backflip tail whip bar spin variation combo over that step box. Dylan charging. There we go.
Maybe overcooking that one.
Yeah, transferring right into that box jump, steep takeoff, got the nose down on 360. I believe that was a double bar spin, kicking the double tail whip over the spine. Yeah, triple hot hands. That's what we talk about when he's got them on lock. I believe that was a 360 version. Such a cool perspective of the course where you can really see the different distances that the riders have to adjust their speed, and they have to try to set up for these different lines. Downside 360 tail whip. Blair with the bar spin. Come on, Dylan.
Coming down to those last 5 seconds. Still time for one last big banger. Maybe sneak another one in.
All right, well, Dylan right there, definitely don't want to take away from any of the tricks he did towards the end of his run, but you saw that he still had control. He was putting in the points and just trying to rack them up there, but he had so many big highlights, like his red carpet entrance over the box, the Hyper BMX Snafu, British cycling rider, looking good out there. And let's definitely keep an eye on those handlebars, as we said. There was the backflip bar spin to tail whip. Here's a look at the 360 double tail whip. And there you go, 3 times around on the backflip bar spin. That is such a hard trick to do. You've got to be so committed, and you have to know when you wind up throwing the bars, your cadence on the first one has to match that of the last one. So much goes on, but right there we have Dylan looking solid, getting that run.
Yeah, now that nervous time waiting for that last score to come in. The final 60-second run.
Oh, and I'm actually hearing potentially from Greg Illingworth and Jamie Bestwick that was actually a quadruple bar spin. Again, a little hard to see from our perspective, but so psyched that the coaches, that's why they have the backs of the riders. I believe, Mark, that might have been a quadruple bar spin that went around 4 times, which is almost unfathomable. Again, a little hard to see from our perspective, but we just saw the hot hands going, and it was going so fast that it was an absolute blur. So we appreciate very much that Greg and Jamie keeping our eyes out there, and also the other riders in the world.
Jamie's not going to miss a thing. As we move on to our last rider in our finals here, James Jones, coming in hot.
Yeah, there we go. James Jones starting things off the same way, flying the friendly skies. There is the opposite bar spin. Kicking that downside alley-oop tail whip, spotting the landing. Yes, there we go. Come on, James Jones over that step up backwards. We haven't seen many riders do that. Look at the cork out. 7 variation over our extended transfer. Look at the 360, I believe, bar spin to tuck no hander.
Oh, no way. Just coming out, like landing on top of him there. Everyone in the crowd super hyped, giving him a round of applause as he gets back up. And that's what we were saying about that high risk to high reward, Daryl. You've got to put it out there if you want to get anywhere near that podium. You're going to have to throw everything you've got at it at this stage. So, taking it round the back of that huge wall ride. Taking a bit of a breather, getting in the shade. It looks really hot out there.
Yeah, it's a lot to deliver under the pressure of a final. Also, like you said, the elements, the heat, so much goes into it. So unfortunately right there, Mr. James Jones is not going to be able to shake up that leaderboard. And it looks like Marin Rantes from Croatia is going to be on top with the 90.87. Very impressive for the Croatian, making things happen. But we've got our 2 Joneses, second and third. Really unbelievable stuff out here. Let's take a look at our highlights as we break it down, Mark.
Yeah, and what a highlights it is. Look at that. Such a massively high standard of riding. Not that I didn't expect to see that, because, you know, you're always going to get to see a huge standard of riding at the Urban World Series, but this has been one for the books.
Yeah, look at that. Marin Rantes so tweaked out on that 720 tail whip. And there we go, Shaun Gornall. I love the style as he just winds up spotting the landing, also tucking the hands after the bar spin on that 360. I got to give it up for James Jones, though, really going for it, putting it all on the line, wanted to be in that first place spot. Here's a look at his backflip bar spin to tuck no-hander. And here we have a look at that 7, also so corked out. I love the way that he was able to position his body, so he just came down right into the landing. There was a look at that cash roll, kicking the downside 360 tail whip. And look at that decade around the top tube, grabbing the pedals and then getting that rotation and coming on in it nice and smooth. Here's a look at Marin Rantes kicking the downside 360 whip and then kicking the back end coming in at us. There's a look again from that perspective on that off-axis 7 from Rantes. Here's Gornall floating backwards into that transfer. and watch the front flip over the box. And let's see, maybe we will get a perspective here at the 4-time around bars. Again, a little difficult from our perspective, but our judges see all the action, and that's definitely reflected in our scores right here.
Yeah, there you go, our standings as we end our finals here of our men's BMX.
So it looks like Croatian's Marin Rantes is going to be top of the podium, the only rider to break into the 90s with a 90.67. And then look at that. We've got 2nd through 6th, followed all Team Great Britain. Jude Jones, James Jones, Dylan Hesse, Ash Finlay, and Shaun Gornall are going to be 2 through 6. So big ups to Jude Jones getting 2nd place and James Jones 3rd. And then we're going to work it out with Sebastián Cuellar, Francisco Molion, Christian Falvo, Kevin Fabry, Isvan Calais, and last but not least, Alaya Benetton. So those are going to be your riders right there, but the top honors goes to Marin Rantes, who not only is going to grab the biggest chunk of that 8,000 euros on the line, the first place hardware, but also those UCI points that are qualifiers towards the Paris 2024 games.
Yeah, super valuable points as things move forward towards 2024. We're paying down to 4th today, who will receive €400. But James Jones coming in and taking that 3rd place bronze medal and €600 home to the UK. Qualified in 1st place coming through. Very impressed with James's riding, as always. And all smiles.
Yeah, his riding is just something else. I loved seeing his commanding control on the vert ramp. And I'm saying vert ramp because essentially that's what that quarter pipe is out there.
For sure.
And really just blasting it big. All right, we've got our 2nd place silver medal here going to UK's Jude Jones coming on out. So impressed with Jude's riding. Really something else. Just bringing it all in our finals. He was our 2nd rider in heat number 2, and he wound up being in 2nd place with that silver medal. 21 years old. And as we mentioned, his mom, Katie, dad, Simon, brothers, Manny and Ruben, but also little cousin Roxy was definitely psyched getting behind Jude Jones, helping him get on that podium in 2nd place.
So 1 medal left to give out, and that is our 1st place and gold medal. Came through as rider number 3 and qualified through in that 4th place, but taking the top spot.
That is the Croatian rider, Marin Rantes right there. Only rider to break into the 90s. You see, top spot right on top of the podium, getting the gold medal and the biggest chunk of those 8,000 euros that we have up for grabs. But as we mentioned, also those UCI points that are so important. If you want to see how you can get involved and wind up entering any of the UCI events, you can go onto the website. We break it down globally for all the different points that we have out there, whether it's local events or bigger events like this, C1 National or our World Cup. So you can log on, but make sure you also follow us at Urban World Series, because we are going to have 2 other events taking place throughout this year. In June, we're going to be going to central Spain, 16th and 18th to Madrid. And then in September, we're going to go to northeastern Spain, September 16th through 18th for Extreme Barcelona.
And there you have it. One last time, our top 3, taking away the respect of absolutely every rider out there, and the crowd going over and giving them a nice big wave. Marin Rantes taking that 1st place, and the last thing to say is thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much for joining me, Daryl. You're an absolute star and a legend yourself. Such great insights into the riding there and keeping it going. I don't know how you keep up with some of those combinations, but you're an absolute star. Thank you very much for joining me again, mate.
Well, Mark, it's an absolute pleasure. I know that you're not only all things action sports, your specialty is definitely skateboarding, but getting a chance to share some of the BMX, breakdancing, and scootering we have out here with you is definitely an honor. I'm going to say big ups to all the riders from around the world for cheering on our athletes out here today, and until we ride again, peace.
moving away little city. Moving us up on a daily, moving away little city.
Y al público de Almería, lo más grande que hubo.
Justo el día que tengo el smartwatch y el smartphone para hacer running, se pone a llover. Menos mal que también me he pillado la consola con las gafas de realidad virtual.
Y si quieres algo más, también. Porque ahora por ser de mi Movistar puedes tener hasta 5 dispositivos. Estrenar uno está bien. Estrenar más es mejor.
Pues no despega, ¿no?
No es solo alcanzar podios, es superarse en cada escalón. No es solo hacer puntos, es hacer equipo. No es solo ser el mejor, es dar lo mejor de ti mismo. El deporte nos enseña que seguir adelante no es solo ganar, sino aprender a levantarse. CaixaBank, con el deporte siempre.
Gotta aim for the top like, hold up, yeah. I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Hey, all of those dark nights I got them, breaking my back to make it out, got me feeling like pain. I ain't never need your help, I know you wishing me well, a penny for your tough, but seeing no change. Snap for the sun like Diddy, the riches got a mad ass son, I'm like Billy.
I'm in the zone. Give me the quote. One shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah. I'm in my element, ooh, yeah.
I'm in my element, flow is like water, I'm forced through the fire, I'm feeling like
one shot, that's all that you got. That's all that I know. Long way from where they come up missing. I blame it on my confidence, yeah. Promise I'm really this astonishing. And yeah, you're now viewing the greatest of all time. No need for thank yous, the pleasure is all mine. That's my confidence.